So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. All right, Rockstar Nation, I have a great guest today, the opposite of Michael J. Fox. I got J. Michael Manley, not Fox, and J. Michael Manley is turning a lot of heads. I mean, he's grown an incredible business that kind of runs on its own. He's traveling the country, teaching Bold for Keller Williams. And if you're not Keller Williams and you don't know what Bold is, it is a massive hands-on training course that basically catapults agents into massive levels of success. And we are lucky enough that he's taking time out of his busy day today to come on the show and talk to us about some mind-blowing things. So hold on to your seat because J. Michael Manley is here. J. Michael, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Pat. It's
Go ahead.
It's been kind of nice. I've seen your podcast out there when it first came out, and it's nice to have time to be here and join you.
Yeah, here it is, almost 600 episodes later, and we're still growing strong. So I think that's, fortunately for us, some of our success is this the consistency of it. We probably went through 200 episodes between, say, episode 200 and episode 400, where it about stayed the same. And then once people knew we were here to stay, we doubled, then we doubled again. Recently we've doubled again as far as listenership, and it's just, it just takes off. And I think that people look for these podcasts that stick around a long time,
Yeah.
So anyway, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, J. Michael, so they can get to know you better?
Well, I run a team here in Greenville, South Carolina. We started that team back in 2010. We've been going strong ever since. And 2014 was kind of my last full year in the actual business as far as the day-to-day sales. I replaced myself, started training for Holly Prescott in the North and South Carolina region, became a road warrior, driving throughout the night, teaching agents all over the North and South Carolina state. And then I got an opportunity to go and coach Bold. My team still running strong. And now I travel around the country 3 to 5 days a week coaching Bold for agents, helping them realize their dreams and actually making transformations, not just in their business career, yet transformations in their personal, family, and all throughout, that full circle of life that we go through or that we have, each one of us have.
So, J. Michael, tell me about the laws of Bold. Let's dig deep into the Bold laws.
Yeah, so the Bold laws, there's 34 Bold laws that Diana Kokoska, the CEO of MAPS Coaching and the author of Bold, the original Bold coach, she actually created these Bold laws. And these Bold laws, they come from her journals, her life experiences, classes that she has attended over the years. And they're really foundational laws, almost like natural laws, kind of like gravity is a natural law. We can't see gravity, yet it's there. And if we miss we mess up on that law, we kind of get hurt, we fall off of something. And so, because we know gravity is there. And so these Bold laws are there to actually help us live our life so that we don't fall down and so that we can continue to rise up that ladder of life and go forward. I think they're really cool to live by.
All right. So let's jump into some of these here real quick. Let's talk about your favorites for today, for today's market, what agents are dealing with in 2018. What would you say one of the most important ones is right now?
I think as we're starting into 2018, one of the most important things that I think that we could focus on, or one of the most important Bold laws I believe we could focus on, is actually that your business grows to the extent that you do.
Okay, do tell.
And so, we talk about this, and especially, the market has been going strong for the last couple of years, and agents are doing really well. And I see, people that normally would not be looking at major systems or major tools or major advertising, they're now looking at these items. And what they've kind of done is they've forgotten the foundational pieces of business. And so your business will grow to the extent that you do. The foundational piece of business is us. And we've got to be growing ourselves so that we are able to get to that next level, so that we can actually not only get to that next level, we can sustain that next level and go for that even higher level after that.
Okay, so let's talk some specifics, because actually I had a call with someone earlier today, had the same issue. She kind of knew deep down that her business would only grow to the amount that she grew, but she didn't know how to grow herself. Like easier said than done. It was her attitude. So help me with that. Help her with that.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to break this down is break it down into two pieces. We actually talk about this in BOLD, and just so that everybody knows what BOLD stands for, it's actually an acronym, and it stands for a business objective, a life by design. Not just a business by design, a life by design.
Life by design.
Yeah, and so as you look at this, let's break this down into two pieces. Let's break this down into character growth for yourself, and let's break this down into personal growth for yourself. So I'd like for you to kind of think about a circle that has 3 arrows, kind of like, the reduce, reuse, recycle arrow.
Nice.
Okay? And on the top left-hand side of that arrow, you actually have character growth. And a lot of times, here's what I hear, and here's what I even did myself as a young agent, is I looked at character growth and I judged everybody, and including myself, at this high level of character growth. And that if they didn't have this character growth, that almost unattainable character growth, then I thought maybe their character was off. And what I've learned, including my own personal character, I would judge myself saying that my character was off.
So wait a minute. So like if they weren't growing, right? If they were just in mediocrity, stuck there year after year, you judge them.
Yeah, I think I did. And
I do the same thing, by the way.
Right.
This is good for me. I have an issue with that, although I'm at peace with it, but I still have an issue with people that I love, if that makes sense. But yeah, like if I have a really good friend, right, that I know has a ton of potential and they're not using their potential, I judge him for that.
Yeah. And here's the worst part, Pat, is that we have a tendency to judge ourselves by that same character schedule as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and so we have a tendency to beat ourselves up. We make a decision on something, and that decision turns out not being the right decision. Instead of looking at it and saying, oh, that was a horrible decision, why don't we turn around and look at it and say, man, that was an excellent opportunity for me to grow. Right?
Love it, yeah.
Yeah, and so we are some of our own worst enemies in our mindset. As we look at this, as we go forward, Diana tells us that 90% of business is mindset. And so as we're looking at 90% of business's mindset, and our business grows to the extent that you do or I do, then at that point we know that if we've got the wrong mindset and we're thinking incorrectly about ourselves, then yeah, we're going to continue to make those wrong decisions.
Yeah, and so true, right?
Yeah, and it happens, and it's no fault. I don't like to say, it's fault of somebody. Oh, you're making wrong. No, what it is it's a learning decision, and you need more character growth.
So what can we physically do? Like, and the reason I use the word physical, because I don't know how else to describe it. Like, what can I wake up in the morning every day and do different to change? To add character growth, or give me some.
You're looking for a do item, right? Yeah, and so we're looking for something to do. How can I fix this? And
yes,
it's actually 2 items. It's not just a do item. It's actually a be item.
Okay.
Right? Because it's be, do, have. We teach that in BOLD. That's one of the BOLD laws.
You're gonna have to break that down now. What does be, do, have?
So in order for us to have, let's say if I wanted to have what you have, Pat, I need to be Pat first. Right? And then I can go and do what Pat did, and then I can have what Pat has.
Okay.
Right? And so many times we circumvent this, or we intend to circumvent. Well, we say, well, if I just did what Pat did, then I will be Pat, and then I can have Pat. Right? Yeah. And I always say, you can take two agents, anybody really, two people doing the exact same thing. Let's say I gave a call list to two people. And I say, I would like for you to call through these people, and then I would like for you to call through these exact same people. The people that did it with the mindset that this is a do item, just something I've got to do, I've got to accomplish it if I'm going to get something, they're going to go through and get a result. Now, the people that look at this and say, wait a minute, this list is handed to me. This is my list, right? And I know that 90% of who I call on this list, my success is going to be on my mindset. And so I need to look at these people that I'm getting ready to call. These are the best people that I can potentially call right now at this moment. And so I got my mindset right. Now when I sit down and call those people, I'm going to get a result as well. And I will tell you, 100% of the people that dial that same list with the right mindset are going to get a greater result than the people that dial it with the wrong mindset. So the number one thing I think that we could do is have the right mindset about growth and about character. So now that we've got the right mindset around that, now we can go into the do item. And let's say a do item may be choosing a book to read. So this month, personally, I've got 3 books that I'm actually going to be reading this month.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 books. I'm going to read those 3 books this month.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing too I'm doing is that I'm actually attending a class. I'm attending an online class to better myself, to be a better coach. And so I'm taking about 5 hours of classes every week to help me be a better coach. You know, because if we're not growing, we're dying. And so I need to always be growing to get better.
Yeah, I agree.
And so those are 2 things. Number 1 is the mindset, and number 2 is actually getting the books, reading, because what you're doing is, when you're doing that, what you're learning is you're learning how people made decisions at different levels of their life.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Wait a minute. How people made decisions at different levels of their life.
That's exactly right.
Explain.
Okay, so let's say that I'm a young agent, what I call a young agent. There's no such thing as a brand new agent.
Newer agent, right? Yeah,
right.
In the business, you're young.
In the business, you're young, because here's what I always say is that nobody desires to work with the new doctor. Everybody always desires to work with the young doctors.
Oh, interesting.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happens is I've got agents, they'll come in and they're like, oh, I'm brand new. And that's a limiting belief.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's terrible. Don't say that.
Versus an agent that comes in and says, I'm a young agent in the business. That's a different mindset. It's a different opening.
Yeah. Youth is power.
Yeah. Right. And so as you're looking at this and you say, okay, here's what I've got. Here's what I'm doing to grow. And so I'm going to take a class. I'm going to read a book. And when I read this book, I'm reading a nonfiction book about something that someone did, or a tactic that someone used, or, how to better myself at this item, or how to.
They're kind of learning from other people's stories of how they learned from getting their head kicked in, right?
Yeah.
From their mistakes and incidents in their lives, so that you don't have to go through it yourself, right? You know what I mean? You could learn it just like they learned it, but it hurts a lot less for you because you're, laying in your bed reading a book.
Exactly. And so what I always say is, the person that did it first, they had a learning curve.
Yes.
When I go to that person and I learn what they did and how they made their decisions throughout that learning curve, what I actually do is I actually start to shorten my personal learning curve. So if it took them 5 years to get there through all their mistakes, and I learn from their mistakes, now what I can do is that I can go back and say, all right, this is coming up. I remember this in that book, or I remember this from that class that I took. Here's how I best should make a decision to go forward here.
I mean, a great example of this is team building. I probably when I built a team, I went from, say, a solo agent to a team of like 50 some people. It took like 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And I got people on my show now that 1 year in the business and they got a team with 50 people on it. I'm like, how, what? I'm like, what the, I mean, the mind, right? No one 15 years ago would have even had in their right mind to try to do that.
And especially in their first year, right?
Yeah, especially in their first year. Right. It was crazy just to hire an assistant in your first year and back 20 years ago. So, like,
I had a young agent come out of the corporate world, got a real estate license, and in his first year has a team that's expanding into another market and already done over $40 million in his first year in real estate.
Probably never sold a house himself. Probably never opened a single lockbox.
A lockbox key, what's that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't ask me. I know how to do that. That's below my pay grade.
Exactly.
It's so true, though. It's so true. I got people coming on like, what? Really? Never been on a listing appointment. They got 30 agents they're training. I mean,
and so what they're doing is they've learned. They first had the mindset that it can be done, and number two is that they've gone out there and learned from other people that are doing it, and they use those models to start circumventing their own learning curve.
So what are some like good models that people listening could use?
I think
in the real estate game today.
Yeah. So, right now, I think one of the big models is getting out of the real estate game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go and seeing what other people in other industries are doing and learning how they're growing at a high level. I mean, you look at Uber, you look at Airbnb, these are companies that are scaling at a massive level and scaling very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so
it moves so fast, man. The world moves so fast nowadays. Everything is scaling fast.
Yeah.
If you don't scale fast, I mean, someone's going to come up behind you and just do it for you.
Exactly.
Instead of you, despite you,
I always say, when I got into real estate, I had an OP in my market center, and I love this OP because I would sit down and I'd go to breakfast with him. I'd take him to breakfast. I'd take him to hot dogs, take him to breakfast, whatever time I could get with him. And I look back at it, and it took him 6 years to build a team to 100 transactions, right? And so I got with him. Like, he's already where I desired to be at that point. And so I went and got with him and said, how can I do it? And it took me 3 years to do it.
Yeah. No,
right?
I believe it. Yeah.
And we didn't just do 100 transactions. We did 154 transactions in 3 years.
And it's all about the emulation of the mentor.
Right. Yeah. And then finding the right mentor. So making sure that you look at that and say, is this the right mentor for me? And working in that character growth so that you're learning how to make decisions at higher levels each step of the way.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why people have latched on to this podcast. With 600 different agents have come on here, and with Rebus University, my online courses that agents are learning from, is that you're essentially learning from the mentor, the shortcut, like how to hack it. Everybody wants to hack, right to the top, which is great. So long as you qualify the mentor. I think
yes, there you go, right? Always qualify the feedback. A good friend of mine, Dick Dillingham, told me one time, he said, I was actually learning how to train and present from Dick Dillingham, and everybody was telling me, giving me feedback, and I would start to explain myself, and Dick would look at me and go, "Stop. You're only allowed to say one thing. Thank you." And that was the only thing I was allowed to say.
Man.
So
I use that from time to time. There's nothing that drives me nuttier. You know what I mean? Don't accept a gift. Here, I'm trying to give you a present.
Yes.
And you're giving it back.
Yeah. Right. And so what he said is that, look, what you have to do is that they're giving you feedback and you tell them thank you. Now you take their feedback and you go back and review that feedback. And you say, is this something that I desire to implement for myself, or is this something I don't desire to implement for myself? Right? Then you're basically saying, does this work for me, or does this not work for me? And then from there, you implement it, which is the second part of that circle that we talked about, is the personal growth.
Okay. Tell me about that.
So you got the character growth. That's where you go and learn what to do and how to make decisions.
How to create character like the person that you want to be, whether that's an avatar, right? Yep. of a rich guy or a rich girl or a successful listing agent or whoever it is,
right?
You're a real person that's the top agent in your office or a top agent in your market, so long as you've qualified that mentor, right? That's the character growth, is melding yourself into that person, which people do all the time. It's called emulating.
Right.
Okay, so that's done. We've discussed that. Right. Now
comes the most challenging part of this whole cycle.
Okay.
Most challenging part of that cycle is the personal growth.
Personal growth. Tell me about that.
This is where you actually take what you learned and how to make decisions and actually put it into action.
Okay. This is the meat and potatoes. This is like what to do. Like how, before you're kind of like building, it's almost part of the ready, aim. This is the fire, right?
Yeah. This is the actual fire.
This is the gunshot, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, we've all got, we've got very wise bookshelves. We've gone to a class. We've never put anything into action. We've listened to podcasts, and we've never really put anything into action. And so you've gone to the class, and you stuck a worksheet under your desk, or you did a 1-3-5 at one point, which is where you're taking and breaking down a big, hairy, audacious goal, breaking it down into executable items, and you've got it and you stuck it in a drawer. And what happens is you got a really smart drawer, yet your business isn't growing. And so now you've got to actually put that into action. You listen to a podcast such as yours, Pat. You go and attend a class such as Bold, or you go and do something. And so now what you're doing is now you got to bring that back and put it into action. And that action is
what do we do? Yeah, I mean, how easier said than done. Just like the lady said to me this morning.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah. So what do you do? How do I do this? Well, so what you do is you go to a class, and I count this one thing, because when I started back in 2010 as building a team, I was a fairly good individual agent. I was selling 42 homes myself with no admin, no assistants, and I'd gone through when the market shifted, it kind of shifted on me, and I didn't shift with it. And so it came crashing down, yet I was starting to build this back. And so in 2010, when I started the team, is that I didn't have the character growth to actually know what to do, right? Let alone do it. And so what I went to Mega Camp at, Keller Williams has a national convention at Mega Camp where they put mega agents on the stage. And as they put mega agents on the stage, I was just furiously taking notes because those people that were on stage had more character growth than I had at that time. And so they were talking about websites. They were talking about video. They were talking about, different items to do and how to hire admin and how to grow your business to a higher level. And I just took notes. And so what I did is that before I left Austin, and I actually took those notes and I went through with a highlighter and I started highlighting things that showed up over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I took all those things that I highlighted that showed up over and over again, and I put a list of 7 things together.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people get that overwhelm after a convention, right? I mean, they get like so much. I can remember one time, the first ever major real estate convention I went to, I had so much stuff that I extended my stay a day. And I sat in the room and sorted through it all, and I still came home with like 30 to-do items, and I think only about 29, only about 1 out of 30 probably got done because everyone looked at me like I had 3 heads at a small team at the time. They were like, "No way, we don't got time to do all this.
Right?
We're busy working." And I think that's normal, right? You get this huge book, and it becomes overwhelming. You got all these notes and all these ideas, and then you just don't do any of it,
right?
Because there's an old saying: the confused mind says no.
Right.
So it's just confused. It's just too much.
Yeah. And so what happens is that, in the bold room, we talk about overwhelm versus fascination and learning how to use your language at a higher level that's actually so that supports you and not breaks you down.
Overwhelm versus fascination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're overwhelmed, what happens is your brain starts shutting down and says, you can't take any more content. Right? Yet when you say, hey, I'm in fascination, your brain, the artistic brain, the creative side of your brain actually lights up and says, I can't get it all, yet I can get enough, and let me get what I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so, I come back and I had that list of 7 things that I was actually going to implement. Now, here's where it gets crazy. And here's what I think is a huge part of this. Is that your brain, if you look down and you put a date by each one of those things and say, I'm going to have that one implemented by this time, and use the date that your brain gives you. Your brain desires comfort. I mean, that's just a fact of life, that your brain desires to be comfortable.
Of course. So does your body, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so when your body desires to be comfortable, it's not going to give you a date that's going to cause you pain.
Right. Yeah.
And so that date that you put down on there, whatever date that is, here's what I suggest.
Date for a goal that you set.
Yeah, so you go to a conference, you take a class.
Oh, I see. Right. I'm going to do that. I'm going to implement this idea by this date.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so what happens is, even if you get to this point where you actually start and put a date down by when you're going to implement this thing, what ends up happening is you're setting yourself up for failure, because what happens is that's the date that your brain gets comfortable with. And this is what leads most agents, or leads most people, to procrastination. Because you got a thing that you're going to implement.
Yeah.
That you took in a class. You got a date that you're going to implement it by.
Yep.
Yet your brain, let's say something comes up. A buyer calls and they want to show a property.
Sure, right, yeah. Right? Money calls.
Money calls. So your brain goes, oh, I'll fix it tomorrow.
Low priority.
Low priority, right? So what I did when I came back from that mega camp in 2010 with those 7 items, I actually cut my time in half. I felt like I could get these things accomplished in 4 months. And so what I did is actually cut that time in half and only gave myself, and I would actually say 60 days to create urgency when I use my language.
Because you're saying, creating the urgency makes it get done. Makes it get done. Do you remember what those 7 things were? So
one of them was to actually get a website. Okay. I had no website. I had the Keller Edge website, yet I couldn't even tell you how to actually log into it.
Okay, cool.
I was not a tech person. And so I actually had used Market Leader, that used to be, Realty Generator platform. And, I would use I started the Realty Generator platform. I actually signed up.
If anybody out there is listening, you don't own yourname.com. you need to own yourname.com as soon as
Exactly.
possible with a big giant photo of you on it and
Yeah.
all your listings. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a
so
no-brainer.
I started with a database, all right, and a lead generation platform. And then from there, the next thing is that video email. Like I needed to get video email. I knew things were going at a high level. And there was a gentleman that was on stage that he was doing video email. So I was like, well, I have no clue how to do video email. I'm like the least tech person. I always tell, my wife always teases me. The first person that ever sent me a text was my wife. And we were dating at the time, and she actually asked me out via text, and I didn't know how to respond to her. So as we're going through this, and I'm like, I have no clue how to respond to her. I don't text. I remember the old BlackBerry with the scroll wheel on the side, right? And so I said, I got to figure this out. So I got to figure out video email. So how can I do this? Well, I'll just shoot the guy an email that actually sent me that said it from stage. So I Googled him, found him, sent him an email. Well, within 24 hours, this dude had actually sent me everything that he was doing. He actually sent me a video email, sent me the product that he was using. He even sent me templates that he was using for his video emails.
You still use video emails on a regular basis?
We do.
Yeah. And like how many sales is your team doing now?
So this year we did 131.
131, and all that while you're on the road.
I'm literally on work at my team less than one day.
How do you work that? Like you go in on Monday, and then you hit the road on Tuesday and travel and do.
So I go in on Fridays.
You go in on Fridays, and
Yeah.
What days do you teach bold?
So it depends. Like this last launch, I actually coached on. I'd leave the house on Sunday afternoon. I'd coach Monday, Tuesday in one location, and then leave there, go to another location, teach on Wednesday, leave there and coach another location on Thursday, and then fly home Thursday night.
Wow, that's a lot of teaching.
Yeah.
And I like that stuff ingrains in your mind. Well, here's a great question for you, right? So if I took your bold class, now I have taken bold, so
right.
Not with you, but if I took your bold class or any bold class, and I did what you just mentioned, and I wrote notes and notes and notes over 8-week, 9-week period, whatever it is, what 3 things would show up again and again and again?
That's a great question. Number one, I would say is mindset would show up over and over and over again, and training your mindset with the words that you use.
Okay. What
right?
else?
Number 2 would be database.
What does that mean?
So, here's where I think most of us as individual agents, when we're starting to build a team, I think most of us we immediately miss the foundational pieces of the business. Right? We all have this field guide, what I call the field guide of the millionaire real estate agent. And on that field guide, Gary tells us, Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams Realty, co-chairman of the board with Mo Anderson, he actually says that we need 1,920 METs in a database.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Okay, you need 1,920 met. Define
Define a
the
met.
word met. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody that I have met face to face.
Okay, so we need 920. So the goal is to have 920.
1,920.
Not 1,920. Okay.
Yes, sir. Right? And so is what we miss is like, I know people that have been in the business 10, 15 years and have never gotten to 1,920.
And then when you get more than that, then you start trimming as to, you know, who's giving you the most referrals or
Right.
who you've been in touch with or who you got a cell phone for. And until then, your goal is to get 1920. And what's the calculation behind 1920? Is it a certain amount of people to call every day for 365 days or what?
So we actually talk about what we call our 33 touch, right? And so we teach this in Bold as a 33 touch. And, you know, this is where you actually touch your clients or touch people that you have met 33 times throughout the year.
Okay.
Now, this is the second thing that you would learn in Bold. And as you're looking at this, what I would say is that when you're doing this and you're building that 1,920 people in Bold, Diana Kokosko has laid out a model for how to actually get to 1,920 people. And she says to do it in a year and 9 months.
Okay.
Right? So let's break this down. So you've got, you're a young agent in the business.
Yep.
Right? You got your first 90 days, right? This is where you got to get into accelerated growth, right? What we call concentration mode.
Yeah, I like it.
You throw that throttle all the way forward. You got to get your business up off of the runway. And so in that first 90 days, go and add 500 people to your database.
And you know, church, school, PTA,
open houses,
neighborhood,
owners, knocking on doors, however you do it, just get to 500 people in 90 days.
Facebook friends.
Yeah, right? Facebook real friends, ones that you actually know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Facebook friends that aren't other agents.
Yeah, right? And so now you've got a database of people that you've met, of 500 people, right? And you did that in 90 days. Now at this point, we're in momentum phase, so we can back off a little bit, right? Because we're now starting to get business. We're starting to close transactions. We're moving. And so at this point, what you're going to do now is you've got 6 months, 180 days to get to an additional 500 people, right? So we'll give you an additional 6 months. Now you're at this now for 9 months, and you've got 1,000 people in a database. This is your first year of building the business. This is concentration mode. Throw that throttle all the way forward and go after it.
Let the plane take off, and then that 920, 1920 is the ultimate goal,
right? So you got one additional year to get to 920 additional people.
And then what? What do you want to be doing with those?
Yeah, so once you've got them, you're going to market to those. You're going to stay in touch with that database, right?
Text them, email them, Facebook them,
call them,
send them something, right?
Send them something, send them something twice
Invite
a month.
them to something.
Throw a party for them, in the summertime or something, so that you're having a client appreciation party or a Mets party. We talk about in Bold, customer service and what is customer service and how to provide high-level customer service. I fly all over the country. I fly Delta most of the time. And when I do fly Southwest, they load me like cattle. And yet with Southwest, it's the #1 customer service airline out there. Why is that? And it's because they allow you to fly 2 bags for free. Right? Yeah. So what's going to be your 2 bags free for your database? Tony DeCello, Diana Kokoska's husband, he actually said something this past year that really just woke me up. He said, what is Amazon Prime? And everybody was like, oh, it's a service. You get free shipping for 2-day shipping. You get all this stuff. And he goes, no. Amazon Prime is a database that people pay $89 a year to be in.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said that, so it's a database that you pay $89 to be in. What could you be delivering to your database that people would pay you to be in your database?
I don't know what the answer to that is. I mean, what do you?
Well,
I
there's
mean, what can
tons of
you offer
different
them other
items
than the
out there.
service? Yeah, I mean, you could offer them free notary services,
Yep.
free. You'll help them fight their tax assessment for free.
Yeah.
They
Those are
can come
all
in and use your
values.
copy for free.
Yep.
All
How
that
about
stuff.
this? What if you got we have a Margaritaville margarita machine that you can come and borrow
I've
it for
heard of
free
that too.
for a
Yeah,
party, right? We got a truck, just a
tents
pickup
like
truck,
the canopy tents for parties.
right? We got a pickup truck that you can it's my old pickup truck. You can actually come and borrow our pickup truck, right? First year into this database is free.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything. Second year, the only thing it costs you, one referral. You provide us with a referral for any time within the next 12 months, and you can stay in this database for free.
That's awesome. Okay, so we got mindset, we got database.
Right.
What's the third item that's going to be highlighted over and over again when I take J. Michael Manley's bold course?
So I would say this, it's a word called congruency.
Congruency. Yep.
Right. Because your whole being has got to be focused on growing yourself. Now, when you're talking about you're calling people and you're on the phone, congruency when we're doing, webinars like this. See, when we communicate, we actually use 3 ways of communication every time. So 55% of the way that we communicate, and we coach all of this in bold, 55% of the way that we communicate is through body language.
Okay.
Right? And 38% of the way that we communicate is through tonality.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And 7% is the words that we use.
Yeah. And so much emphasis is put on the words, right?
So much emphasis is put on the words, and we completely miss out on the fact that its body language and tonality represent so much.
That's why the texting and emails are so screwed up. And I tell everybody that works for me, I'm like use explanation points abundantly.
Yeah, right.
Hey Pat, hey Jay, Michael, like 7 explanation points. Even though it's, do you have the phone number for such and such?
Yeah, right.
because you want tonality, you want posturism, you want all that in an email or in a text,
Right.
and it's so hard to get.
Well, and I think, here's the one thing that I see that I absolutely love that Diana has stayed the course on this. Can you sell a house through Facebook Messenger? Absolutely. We've done it. Yet what Diana does is in the bold program is that we actually hold you accountable to actually learn how to do the wording part of it. Right? Anybody can come in and teach a class and teach you and say, these are the words that you're going to use in this email. Copy, paste, send. Yeah. Right? Yet when you're in front of that seller, did we teach you body language and did we teach you tonality? Right? And so as you're looking at it, plus the words, because we're going to teach you the words to use while you're there. And yet you got to be on that part of it, of using that body language and that tonality. There's a cultural movie out there. It's Icon. We probably have all heard it. And it says, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. Has anyone seen Ferris Bueller? Right? No tonality, no body language. And yet it's become a cultural icon because that people realized that there was no body language and no tonality.
Wow. Fascinating. And you know what, come to think of it, I think that's why emojis are such a huge deal. Apple on the new Apple X, the whole commercial on television is all about the talking emojis. And I'm like, why would they spend billions of dollars on this TV commercial when there's so many other features about this phone? But right. The reality of it is people want these emojis and these talking emojis. Why? It's because they help you bring tonality
and body language.
And body language to a text or to a message. They
right.
really do.
And so Diana remains true. I always say in the bold room is that Johnny Depp is the highest paid actor in the world. Now, he may not keep much of it, yet he's the highest paid actor in the world because he becomes Captain Jack Sparrow. Do you become when you're on that listing appointment, do you become the best mega agent for them? And see, it's the body language, it's the tonality, and the words that you use that make up whether you come out of that listing with the signed listing agreement or not.
That's awesome, dude. Well, J. Michael, this has been fun, man. This has been great. We could go on all day with this, and that's exactly what you do when you teach. I'm going to put everything we talked about today, as well as all of J. Michael's contact information. If you want to reach out to him, say hello. Just go to hibandigital.com/J, just the letter J by itself, Michael, just the letter J by itself, and Michael. And J. Michael, what are you going to give our audience today as their free gift? As you know, everyone that comes on the show brings with them a free gift. We take the free gift and we put it on your show notes, which again are hibandigital.com/J. Michael. And in addition to that, we will put them in the Agent Success Toolbox along with all the other interview guests that have come on the show and brought gifts. So agents could go in and get a full toolbox. You can go to hibandigital.com/toolbox to get that, or just text toolbox to 444-999. What are you going to give us today, J. Michael?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the ability to an actual piece of paper that's going to help you create your growth plan, your character growth plan, what classes and those kind of things that you can do over this entire year of 2018.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like a checklist for a growth plan, like a goal setting growth plan sheet, something like that.
Yeah. And so this will be where you can actually put it up, tape it in front of your desk, because I've seen so many people do growth plans and then put them in a desk, right? And then they do a growth plan. When they open that desk drawer, they're like, "Oh, I already have it." Right?
Yeah. And tack it up, right? Everywhere.
Put it in front of you. I don't care if you tape it on your bathroom mirror, your spouse, partner, significant other gets mad at you. Just leave it up there. It's my growth plan. We're going to get better because of this.
There you go.
Now, Pat, let's close this one little piece out, because we talked about the two tops of that circle.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bottom of that circle real quick.
Okay.
The bottom of that circle, you got character growth, personal growth. Now you got personal success. And we all know people that circumvent that circle and go straight to personal success. Like lottery winners.
Yeah.
Lottery winners go straight to personal success.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is 5-7 years from the time that they get, this massive wind flow of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, 5 to 7 years, they're usually right back to where they were. Because they didn't have the character growth and the personal growth, the right thing to do with this money. They didn't know what the right thing to do with the money was. And so they never put it into action, which means the personal success will re-circumvent, will re-level out, thermostat back to where it was set for your growth. That's
interesting. Very interesting. I agree with that. Yeah. You got to go through the whole process, the whole circle.
To maintain it and to make it long term, you got to make it through that entire circle.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All righty, buddy. Well, listen, maybe I'll see you on a Delta flight somewhere. And if not, when I'm in your hometown of Greenville, because I do travel up to Asheville every once in a while, I'll stop in and we can break some bread together.
Yeah, man, give me a shout. We got some great restaurants here. I'd love to take you out.
All right, boss.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for watching Real Estate Rockstars. Please give us a review wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. We eat feedback for breakfast, and I don't care whether you give me a 1-star review or a 5-star review. I just want the review. I want to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Would love to improve things. Hey, and listen, please subscribe. The more subscribers we get and the more reviews we get, the better guests we'll get for you in the future. Feel free to reach out to me anywhere on social media. Just type in my name. I'm everywhere, and I look forward to meeting you in the digital world. Have a great day, and thanks again for listening to Real Estate Rockstars.